I think I really shouldn't be doing this without help. Hello, Saints. My name is Jeff. I am a Christian pastor exploring everything I can about the Church of Jesus Christ and Latter-day Saints. And I'm on this journey because there's so many things that I believe they're similar, but at the same time very different. And though I normally talk about a lot of doctrine and theology, there are a lot of things worth talking about when it comes to just lifestyle and culture. And I got sucked into a TikTok feed the other day by a group called Saints Unscripted, which is a bunch of LDS church members. And I was getting a kick out of it because there are so many things that seem very similar from a lifestyle standpoint between LDS culture and Bible Belt Midwestern Christianity culture, which is what I grew up in. So like this video, subscribe, let's check these out.
Into the thick of it, into the thick of it,
Just backyard.
into the thick of it. Ugh.
Isaiah. Yes. Yeah, when you're reading the Bible, there's certain books you get to where you just like, I call them skid mark books, where like you just slam on the brakes. Like I especially see that whenever people say, hey, I'm going to read through the Bible in a year. And they go through Genesis, which is pretty action-packed, and Exodus, same thing. There's some law in there, whatever. But then you get to Leviticus and it's like, people slam on the brakes. They're like, yeah, I don't know if I want to read through the Bible in a year. But the prophets are especially difficult. Isaiah, Jeremiah, Ezekiel. There's some really interesting stuff in there that can be hard to get your mind around. I mean, imagine like preaching through these passages. That's always a challenge because you gotta handle it right because it's definitely the thick of it.
Out to play ball so we could ruin them. Mama said that it was okay. Mama said that it was quite alright. Our kind of people had a bed for the night, and it was okay.
Okay, so facial hair. Let's talk about this for a second. I don't know how much of these lifestyle things are tied to actual teachings in the LDS church or if it's just the way the church culture is. But facial hair, all growing up, definitely had a stigma in the Midwest. If you had a beard, especially, or if you were unkept in some way, people would look down on you because they expect you to be sort of clean shaven and clean cut and always looking nice. So I can definitely relate to this.
Frequently asked questions.
Mormon dating edition.
Are you allowed to date?
Yeah, I am.
At what age are you allowed to start dating?
Yeah, usually it's around 16, but it just depends on what your parents or what your family says.
Do you have to date in a group, or can you date singly?
Usually people are advised to start in a group, but as people trust each other more and get more comfortable, you can single date.
And can you date a non-member of the church?
Yeah, you can date non-members. You can date just whoever you trust.
Are you guys allowed to kiss?
Yeah, you can kiss each other, you can hold hands, just nothing too sexual before marriage.
Cool, thanks for letting us know. If you guys have any other questions, let us know down in the comments below.
All right, this is so similar to the rest of Christianity. The whole idea of like, how do you date? These are frequently asked questions that I grew up asking because though it wasn't tied to like Latter-day Saints, the whole idea of like, should you date? How old should you be when you date? There was a whole like, I kissed dating goodbye phase that took place in like the early 2000s. And people really got into like courting where you had to like ask a dad's permission. And there was like a certain age where most people agreed on, like mid-teens, that you can start dating, but you shouldn't go on exclusive dates. You should go in groups. So I know that these guys are probably taking these questions really seriously, which is good. But that whole like calculus of trying to figure out like what's appropriate, what's not appropriate, and making sure everybody's happy and okay with it and there's not disapproval. I completely remember and understand that tightrope that I had to walk growing up. I think that's pretty common in most religious circles.
I'm telling you, these people are Satanists. As I sit here, they are Satanists. What we got to do is we got to go down to the religious supply store. We got to get ourselves a couple of gallons of holy water. My cousin Jerry's a priest. He can get us a deal. No, we got to go to the market. We got to get ourselves a couple of those big strings. You know, they string that garlic. A couple big strings of garlic. We got to get ourselves some fresh lamb's blood. And then we got to... Ray, do you want them to take your family, kidnap them, tear their livers out, and make some kind of satanic pate?
Okay, I just have the performance here is on point. I mean, the syncing up of the lips with this soundbite is pretty impressive. I have to say that. But hold on, I'm not understanding. Trying to learn about Latter-day Saints on the internet and like that's the Google thing. I mean, I feel like information has gotten a little bit better online. Like whenever I was in high school, we weren't supposed to use the internet for like references. I think that's changed now. But I'm trying to figure out where else do I get information to learn about Latter-day Saints. Maybe I need to reach out to Saints Unscripted and find out because I'm sure it's not all accurate, but I can get the gist, right? Maybe not. I don't know. Okay, so now I'm going to check out some TikToks that I think are a little bit more specific to the LDS church. Let's see if I even understand what's going on here. Okay, is this a polygamy? Okay. Okay, so I think I really shouldn't be doing this without help. I think what this is conveying is that like it's hard enough to face like temptation and some of those things, but for crying out loud, like when people automatically think since you're an LDS church member that you have multiple moms because of the polygamous past, I could see that being annoying and frustrating.
No matter what the waitress moves, I should drink it and always be full. Yeah, I will drink it and always be full. I like coffee and I like tea. I could be able to enter if I don't wait.
Okay, now I just recently learned about this, that members of the LDS church, at least up until recently, don't drink coffee and tea. And I don't know all the reasons as to why that's the case. I've heard some people connect it to the caffeine. I've heard other people connect it to like the temperature of the drink. Coffee and tea are normally hot. But I can definitely relate to growing up and like listening to secular music. And if I was ever around my parents, I would get very uncomfortable because that wasn't consistent with what we believed. And so that whole idea of like really getting into a song and then it's talking about things that aren't necessarily lining up with your faith is definitely something I can relate to.
Welcome. Voice activation required.
Thor.
Access denied.
Thor, son of Odin.
Access denied.
God of thunder.
Access denied.
Strongest Avenger.
Access denied.
Strongest Avenger.
Access denied.
Damn you, Stark. Point Break.
Welcome. Point Break.
Yeah, I have to imagine that there's a lot of anticipation tied to the whole mission call where I guess whether you're a missionary, like an elder, or whether you're a sister missionary, getting a call, you don't know where you're going, and I'm sure there's a lot of hopes that you'll end up in really awesome places, but maybe you just end up down the road. I can't totally relate to that because we don't have the same thing in the rest of Christianity as far as assigning people to go places, but I could definitely see how there's a lot of anticipation and maybe sometimes disappointment. Yeah, I hear you. But this kind of strikes at what this channel is all about, right? Like, I get that the LDS Church teaches about Jesus and makes references to Jesus, but the origin of Jesus and who he is and who he's been and who he will be in the future is pretty different between the LDS Church and the rest of Christianity. So I think there are pretty good reasons why the rest of Christianity asks.
Kill him and dump the fucking bodies in a lake, obliterating everything is iterated. Renegade him, make anybody who want it with the pin and frame. Don't nobody want it, but they're gonna get it anyway. I'm beginning to feel like I'm mentally ill until
Have you ever had a dream that you do?
Again, tied to like, I guess, the missionary culture. Whenever you're going out and if they send you to a country where they speak another language, you have to learn that language, which is pretty similar with missionaries in general in Christianity, though I know that this is a specific age group for the missionaries that go out. And I've never had to learn a language to do any sort of outreach or missions work, but I have learned Greek, which is what the majority of the New Testament is written in. And I remember those aspirations of being able to like learn the language and like read it fluently and understand it and speak it. And I would work really hard at it. And then when I'd actually try to articulate it or write it, it was toddler language. It's hard to learn another language, like really hard. This is cool. Yeah, I have to think, like, if you're a missionary and you're called to, like, a unique part of the world, that's a different context, and I'm sure you just have so many, like, unforgettable experiences, and you're seeing things that you otherwise wouldn't have seen. Even though in the rest of Christianity, we don't necessarily go out the same way that the LDS Church sends out missionaries at that age. We did things whenever I was growing up called missions trips. And we would go places as a group for a week or two at a time to do missions work. A lot of times it was putting on like a VBS for kids, or going door to door, or helping like build things where they're trying to build churches. And I have so many like unforgettable, memorable experiences from going to all kinds of different parts of the country. I mean, Washington, D.C. and Toronto. And my wife, she did missions trips in like the Philippines and in the Caribbean islands somewhere. In fact, whenever I was in youth group, we would always take missions trips up to the Native American reservations in South Dakota. And I have the most unbelievable memories and had unbelievable experiences there of just seeing a part of the country I otherwise wouldn't have seen, and interacting with people I otherwise wouldn't have interacted with. And it's such like an enriching experience that I'm really grateful for. So yeah, I think this is really cool. I mean, whenever you go to do things to serve the church, you have the opportunity to see parts of the world you otherwise wouldn't see. And that's something that you take with you for the rest of your life. All right, so the moral of the story here is that I want to hang out with more LDS church members, because it seems like culturally there's a lot of similarities. And even though we may not agree on everything belief-wise, I think we kind of get each other. Maybe I should actually reach out to the Saints Unscripted people and see if they want to hang out, because really they were one of the inspirations for me to start this channel. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Like and subscribe. Check me out on Patreon. I would love it if you would support me. You can get special behind the scenes access and even the opportunity to interact with me personally. And be sure to come back here for more, because I'm going to make more videos and I want to keep learning with you. So until then, I'll see you later, Saints.